know. Hey there guys, welcome back to Fishing It Up Carp Days. At the moment I'm just driving down to some cabin which I stayed at last year, and you might remember I've seen it on another episode, but it's some luxury cabin going all out here with some really nice lake backing onto it, and there's supposed to be some big carp in there. We didn't get any of the big ones out last time, but that doesn't mean that we won't this time. To say I'm excited is an understatement. I've been driving now for about 2.5 hours, still got another half an hour left to drive, but trying to keep the energy up, because the second I get there it's going to be getting all the rods out, finding a place to put the bait, and hopefully we should get a carp out. We're here, get in the lodge and have a look at the lake. Let's have a look. Just how I left it. Right, I'm gonna get the rods in, get all the gear unpacked, then get the rods in, maybe try and get one of those early carp. Here we go. After unpacking the car, the first thing I did was set the rods up and tie some of the pre-made rigs I prepared. Having been here once before, I had a good idea of how I was going to fish each rod and which areas I would put the bait. I tied up all my rods to the correct distance, which I'd figured out on my previous trip, and then began baiting up the different spots. I kept baiting fairly light for the first evening to see if I could get a quick bite and take the pressure off the remaining days. Everyone wants to fish on their first night. I chose to put one rod out towards the middle on a clear spot I'd found and fished last time, and then two rods in the near margins, one on the right and one on the left. I threw out a handful of boilies to these areas and then my rigs. I'd seen several carp cruising the margins, so felt confident these were good spots. Once all the rods were in and we had unpacked, it was time for some tea to finish the evening off. We'd also managed to get a quick game of chess in before the light was lost, and it was time to catch up on some well-deserved sleep after the day's travelling. All I could think of, however, was how much I wanted those alarms to scream off before the morning.
Well guys, it's about stupid o'clock in the morning. The alarm has just roared off and we've got an absolutely fantastic carp in there. Check that out for a fully scaled mirror. How's it coming out? Is it looking good?
Yeah.
This guy put up a real battle. I actually thought it was bigger than it was, because in this dark they all look huge. But definitely tactics last time, learning the lake. It was a good choice to come back and do exactly the same thing, and on night one this time it's paid off. And we've got this absolute bruiser. I'm over the moon with that. Well guys, there's the other side of him. This guy's dying to get back. He put up a massive fight. He's an absolutely incredible fish. And I'm absolutely over the moon with that. Really tired now, but there's nothing better than being woken up by one of these. And believe me, this guy took the bait that hard that the alarm was screaming off and it woke me up in a second. It was no like bleep bleep, it was just one single sound. I was straight at my feet, but I don't care how tired I am, it's fantastic catching these. Right, let's get him back.
After a brilliant result on the first night, it was time to get the rods in and set off for the day's activities. Before I left the accommodation, however, I threw in a few more handfuls of bait over my close-in margin spots to add some extra attraction into the area. It was also the right-hand margin rod that went off the previous night, so I thought it important to keep these spots topped up.
Well, everything's locked up. We're on our way out for a walk today and hopefully get a pub lunch afterwards and then back here tonight fishing. So let's go explore this place, see what there is to check out.
You alright, Dad? You're live and fishing it up.
Oh, right. Well, tell us all about it, James. Well done.
2 AM alarm screened off and we got one, but fully scaled mirror. It was about 17, 18 pounds. When I weighed it, I didn't get the exact weight because, you know, I thought if it's not pushing 20, then it's not the end of the world. But yeah, no, just thought I'd call you up so the viewers on Fishing It Up can at least hear your voice if they can't see you, Dad, because...
Thank you. And how was your chief cameraman or camerawoman?
They did a good job, but not as good a job as you do. Right, guys, all reported in. Off to the next place now. Going to get a nice little walk on the go and enjoy the day. Get nice and rested so we can get up nice and early in the middle of the night for another fish. For the remainder of the day, we walked around the local area and even managed to find a nice river to explore along.
Where's the camera?
While we're just walking along the river at the moment, I'm trying to get a shot of the trout. There's loads of trout in there, but every time I get the camera out to film it, they keep swimming off. But this is an epic river, guys. We're following it all the way up and I've seen so many fish. So let's keep going, see if we can do it. I'll see if we can see some. It was so much fun to walk along the river and try and spot all the trout swimming about. After a few more hours of walking, we grabbed some food and headed back to the lodge. Once again, I rebaited my spots. For the far out rod, I put a few spoms of bait over the area to top it back up, and then my rig. Well guys, all the bait's in. Time to get my rig in. Close-in margin rods, I put one more handful of boilies out before lowering my rigs down around the freebies. Well, all the rods are in. It's night 2. Again, just like last night. A little bit later than I wanted it to, but it's around 5:45 now. So I'm hoping that we can give this a good couple of hours to rest. And then the bite should come soon after. But I usually like getting my rods in the afternoon so I can just let the swim settle for hours before bite time turns on. But I did say this last time we caught one, so I'm feeling pretty confident. We'll see what happens. We spent the remainder of the evening chilling out and enjoying the warm weather. I even managed to get 20 minutes in to watch the last episode of Fishing It Up we filmed here to get some inspiration. The evening was still and the sun was slowly creeping down. The lake looked perfect for a bite and I was filled with confidence going into the second night. Yeah. Well, this rod's been in for about an hour tops. I screamed off, so I find it really difficult to talk. It feels, I don't know, it feels like it's plodding. Not for any run or anything. Saying that, there we go, we're going to swing to the corner, but it's plodding along. There we go. Is that another mirror? Let's have a look. So, flying off. Stick it down and then scoop it under and scoop it up. Up and stop. Got it. Nice one. Cheers to that. Oh. Brilliant. Right guys, well, let's have a look at it. I've just weighed it in the sorry, I'm trying to get my hand on it. Just weighed it with the scales. This guy, although he's not broken the magic 30, that there is 26 pounds 6 ounces in the sling. Now, I didn't get a chance to weigh the sling first. I know I've said this before, but you know, I'm on my own today and I have got a bit of help, but I don't want to leave the fish out too long. So the sling's usually around 3 pounds. We're looking at about 26 pounds 6 ounces. Take about 3, maybe 3.5 off of the sling. I would say we've got ourselves a 23 pound carp here. But what a carp is, it's got a lovely golden belly, lovely golden tail, real big shoulders in this guy. When I saw him coming in, I thought that is a decent, thought that is a decent fish, and he is. He definitely is a decent fish. An angry one as well. Oh, there we go. I wanted one of the decent ones out this lake. Seen some of the fish in here, and this kind of what I was after. You know, it might not be a 30, and I keep saying that, you know, I don't want to take anything away from it, but I know there are big ones in here. But this is fantastic, and this has made my trip, really has. Right guys, let's get the other side of it to show you what I've been seeing. There we go. Look at that, guys. Look at that. I keep saying it, sorry. Is the microphone on?
Yes.
Fantastic fish. Over the moon. I'm actually not going to put this rod back in because it's too late now. I don't want to cause too much of a disturbance. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty tired. I've got 2 more rods in. So there's plenty of time left. But thank you, my friends. Thank you for taking that bait. Tell your friends where that big pile of boilies is. So tomorrow night we can have 1 more and make it a fish a day. Don't put them back. Here we go. Well, I've just got back inside now. I've actually cast that rod out. I was going to leave it out. I think I said it before, but the hook was still sharp, the bait was still on it, and I thought, you know what? If I just quickly wrap it up to how many wraps it is to my spot, cast it back out, worst that can happen is I don't catch anything. Best that can happen is to get another carp. I just think they're feeding on that spot at the moment. I've had a couple of bleeps from it, and I thought it'd be stupid not to put a third rod out. Now it is pitch black now, so we just got there before it turned too dark to recast. And also we're trying to watch a film, and I didn't want to redo a new rig, put a new bait on, especially because there's so many crayfish in there. It's not just as easy as putting a bait on. You have to kind of steam it, put that shrink wrap around it to make sure it's not attacked by the crays, and it's just a whole other kind of process of making a rig. So I just cast out what we had left. But the real reason for doing this is, and I want to make the point now, I've just seen the footage when I was playing that fish, and when we were watching a film I was pretty cold, but I always keep my shorts on because you never know if you're going to get a fish. And I pulled my socks up like to my knees to keep warm, almost like trousers. And when the alarm was off, I wasn't thinking about fashion, obviously. And I was playing that fish and my socks have been pulled right up, so I probably looked really, really stupid. But just to let you know, that's not how I usually wear them. It was just because I was cold. But I'm dreading getting onto my computer later and having to edit all this and seeing what it looks like. But that is the reason why my socks are like that. Just to let you know, I know it looks stupid, but we're here to fish. That's the only excuse I have. But anyway, I'm gonna go sleep now. Well, I'm gonna finish the rest of this film, then I'm gonna go sleep, and maybe there'll be another one in it tonight, but I'll be happy if it stays as it is. You know, I'm always quite content with catching a 20-pound fish, especially the one that looks like that. So see what happens, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Well guys, it isn't the biggest one, but once again, this is out on the far out spot. Second carp of the day. Haven't had a common yet, so it's nice to catch one, but the smallest ones really do find the hardest. This has been zooming all over the lake, but it's another carp and it's another smile on my face. I'm not going to mess about this guy too much because, you know, it's not, we have had bigger and there's nothing wrong with small ones, but we'll get them nice back. Sorry, so tired I can't even speak. We'll get them in the water nice and quickly back to where he belongs, just because not only he's not the biggest one, but I'm very tired, so I'm quite keen to get back into bed. But another result, it's turning out to be quite the session this. I'm really pleased. Anything after this, it's just a bonus. Fantastic. Let's get him back.
Well, first thing in the morning, after last night, absolutely knackered, but it was brilliant. There's the lake outside with the rods. Unfortunately, no more fish, but I'm happy with our result last night. Anyway, I'm going to get the rods in, going to go for a little walk, check out the area, look at some of the other lakes, because there's loads of lakes around here. Then come back, get everything ready, maybe go for a meal tonight, then get the rods back in for our final night. I hope we get one more. I'm happy with what we got now, but one more will just finish everything off. If we don't catch, by no means am I disappointed. I'm absolutely over the moon. But you know, with fishing, you always want one more before you leave, and that is the case here as well. So I'm gonna get these in and start my day. Check this place out, guys. Just on the walk, found this incredible lake. Come have a look at this. Next time I come, I might have to give this one a go. It's huge, but it looks like it's got some potential to hold some massive carp. Which lake to fish next? That one? That one? That one? That one? That one? Right, let's get some food. Just before we found somewhere to eat, we had a quick walk around the local village before settling down and choosing a restaurant. After we'd eaten, it was straight back to the lodge for our final night. I was really excited to get the rods back in, considering how good the fishing had been so far, and couldn't wait to see what the final night had in store for me. Well, that is all the rods in. I'm going into my final night now, and feeling optimistic, but I've had a good run so far and they can't last forever. I'm hoping for one more carp just to finish the trip off. Not that it needs to be finished, because already it's been an absolutely brilliant time, but you always want more, especially if you're a fisherman, you know, you always want one more fish. Anyway, I just thought I'd go through with you the rig that I've been using while I'm here. The reason I chose this lodge a second time was because I did have a bit of experience with it from the first time we came. The first time we came, I actually didn't catch for about 2 nights. I'm not sure if it was the third or fourth night I caught, but the reason for that is it's got loads and loads of crayfish in, and that's something that I've not really had to deal with before when carp fishing. So I tried multiple rigs until I found one that actually worked. So the rig I'm using to start with, I've got a bit of tungsten tubing on the line just to pin it to the bottom. There is a bit of weed, it is a bit of an even bottom, so it's good just to have the line pinned down to the bottom. From there, I've got a lead clip with a 3-ounce lead attached, pretty standard stuff. After that though is the rig. Now the rig, from the lead clip, I've got a anti-tangle sleeve, and that anti-tangle sleeve's there because one of my casts is, it's not miles out, but it's a bit of the way out. I don't want that rig to tangle on the cast. So I've put that on there just to help with the anti-tangle properties. After that, I've got some coated braided hook link. It's really, really stiff, this stuff, so if anything does pick it up and drops it, that rig is going to reset itself. Now, the first thing that I had to adapt because of the crayfish was the putty. Usually on the rig, I would have putty just, again, for that coated braid, just to pin it to the bottom. However, what I noticed is when I was using it last time, the crayfish love it. The crayfish love the putty and they'll pick it off. I don't know what they do, if they eat it or they just kind of mess around with it. So I had to replace that, and what I've done is I've just put a small little lead shot just in the middle of the rig, just again to pin it down to the bottom, and the crayfish seem to leave that alone. From there, I've got my hook and more importantly the bait. Now the bait is the biggest change that I've had to make since I've been here. The first time I was fishing last time, the boilies that I was using, all the crayfish were biting them off my rig and just tearing them into little shreds, and it just wasn't working. By the time I reeled in the morning, there was no boilie on there, or if there was like a tiny little bit left. So what I did is I've shrink wrapped the boilie with this, I don't know a technical term, but this coating plastic that you put round it, and then when you put it into hot water, it condenses around the boilie, and it makes it really, really difficult for the crayfish to get through to that boilie then, and eventually they do leave it alone. Now sometimes when we reel it in, it's untouched, and sometimes we reel it in, you can see that they try to scrape their way into it to get to the boilie, but generally it keeps your bait there. On top of that, rather than using a boilie stop with a bit of, for example, bait floss around it, because the crayfish I found, they can get rid of that boilie stop, or they can cut through that bait floss, and again then it leaves your boilie open to being pulled off. So what I've done then is I've used a plastic bit of maize, a pop-up again just to give the bait a little bit of buoyancy, but on top of that maize I've used a really, really deep boilie stop. I think they call them like boilie extenders, something like that, and that there goes really deep into the maize, really, sometimes, you know, depending how big the maize is, really deep into the boilie as well, and it'll take a lot for the crayfish to pull that off and get that off for the bait to come off. I found that although it doesn't get rid of the crayfish, it kind of enables them to not nick your bait, and because of that they generally leave it alone,
after a while and go to all the freebies around it. And so far it's worked a dream. Like I said, the first time I came here, caught 2 fish, and that was on the final night. So far I've had 2 nights and 3 fish have come out, and not one rig, even if I haven't caught, not one rig that I brought in has lost its bait. So they are my tactics, that is what I'm using, and so far it's working. I'm hoping it's going to work again tonight, but like I said before, you just never know with fishing. That's what's so fun about it. But I've got my rig, got the tactics. I hope I've got them right, and I think it's looking promising for another bite.
Morning. Well, unfortunately there was no fish last night. I'm just looking out at the moment. We've got about 10 minutes before I need to pack away, because we've got to be out here by 10. It's come up to around 9:30ish, and I've still got to get all the gear out. So I'm going to give it 10 more minutes, but it does look, I mean, I've been looking at the lake this morning, it looks like all the fish have pushed over to the other side. That's my excuse. But I was watching it last night, and loads of the fish were jumping out towards the middle and far end. And I've just been watching it this morning, praying for a fish. I've seen a couple jump in the far margin, so it does look like the fish have pushed over to another area, because we've seen absolutely nothing happen around here, and we haven't had any bleeps in the bite alarm. So it's looking unlikely, but there's still 10 minutes left, and that's the thing about fishing, it can all change in the last minute or so. It's happened before. Fingers crossed. Well guys, that's the trip over with. 3 fish in total, 1 above 20, that awesome mirror. Unfortunately last night I couldn't get any more out. I did keep the rods in as long as possible, but it just didn't happen, and that's fishing, you know. It's always great to finish on the last night of a fish, but I've had 3, I've had a lot of fun, and can't be too disheartened going home. I'm absolutely buzzing. I'd love to come back, but if I do, it'll probably be a good couple of years before I return, but for now, it's the last time I'm going to see that for a while. Thank you for all the fish. Thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next episode, where hopefully we're going to catch some more carp. See you then.